So my name is Beth Timlin and I own Grey Rock Clothing Co. It's a downtown business and we sell stylish sweatshop-free clothing for men and women.
Yeah, so my name is Charlene. Most people in Guelph know me as Chuck. My husband and I have an axe throwing business in town called Riot Axe. So we host axe throwing private events, parties, birthdays, stuff like that. And we also do axe throwing leagues.
My name is Erin Doherty, and I have a myriad of hats on at any different point. So I work with businesses who want to do good. So I work here at Innovation Guelph as a mentor, helping businesses improve their impact. So their impact on the community, impact on the environment, impact on their workers. And then I help institutions build programs around that. So I work at Conestoga College and with other regional innovation centers. I'm a mom, which also takes a lot of my time. I have a small infant and an older 2-year-old, so Rosemary and Charlotte.
Well, I'm Amanda, and we co-own Refresh Juice, so we make cold pressed juice and smoothies and all kinds of great nutritious stuff.
I think it was pretty spur of the moment. Like, we'd always talked about owning a business together, but it was like finding the right business, the right concept that made the most sense with our combined skills. So when we came across cold pressed juice at a show in Toronto, I called Amanda right away and I was like, this is what we're doing. Guelph doesn't have this, it's going to be amazing. And it turned out that people responded really well.
I opened Grey Rock almost 4 years ago in September 2012. And I prepped to open that for 9 months before we actually opened. The idea came not long before that 9 months. Actually, I've always loved fashion and I've always been very socially conscious and passionate about that, but it's not like I had this burning desire to open a sweatshop-free clothing store or even a clothing store for that matter. And the idea came from my husband, who is extremely socially conscious, and he would lay awake at night worrying about all these awful social injustices happening in the world, and here he was leading his relatively easy life and not really doing anything about it. And so when what was just an effort to help him get some respite from this, I was like, you need to try and think of a way that you can contribute to a solution to some of these problems, and then maybe you'll feel better about that and you'll actually have some impact. So he thought, and then he came back to me one day and he was like, it's clothing. He's like, everything we buy is made in a sweatshop, and that obviously is contributing negatively, but if we could buy sweatshop-free clothing, that would be really positive and that would really help make some changes. So I was reluctant because I was like, oh, I love fashion and it's just going to not be good looking clothing, it's going to be really tough. And we started looking for places to find sweatshop-free clothing, and we soon realized that it was really hard to get it. And then that's kind of when we had the light bulb moment of we could be the somewhere you could get it. And then it kind of all went from there.
No, I feel like it's always evolving and piecing stuff together is always moving along. I came to Guelph originally to be a vet, like everyone and their cat here, and I feel like it's just always been moving and evolving, and it's always circled around environment and business and education. And I just keep doing that and keep putting those 3 pieces together in what I'm doing. So yeah, it's constantly a work in progress.
We started doing it in Guelph about a year ago under a different name, and it wasn't something that I thought that I would ever be doing. The opportunity to do it just kind of fell in our lap a bit, and once it did, that's when I knew it was gonna go. I just had a feeling that I needed to do that. So that was a little bit inexplicable. And then I also had this weird thing I was thinking about recently where, as a kid, my favorite word in the world was entrepreneur. But I never thought that I would do that. But now looking back, it's like, well, maybe there was some magic happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was challenging, to say the least. I was working full-time at the time that we started the business. The original business back in 2015, I was working full-time still. And so that was really challenging, and I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do my full-time job, and I wanted to do this on the side because I wanted to have security. But then I've come to realize that security is just an elusive thing. So it was really challenging. It took a lot of guts, and there were a lot of hard days, a lot of crying, a lot of growth, but it was good. It's all good.
It was like giddy excitement at first of like, I'm gonna own a clothing store, oh my god, and then it was like, I'm gonna own a clothing store, like, can I do this? I reached out very early to people to get some help, so like reaching out to Innovation Guelph and the Guelph Wellington Business Enterprise Center, because I'd never owned my own business before. I had worked for somebody else in a small business previously, so I had an idea of what it might feel like and kind of what it might look like, so that was very useful. And then I just worked so hard in those 9 months opening it, researching so much, like in terms of our suppliers and how to market and how to do accounting and going on courses and all kinds of stuff like that. I don't think I've ever worked harder in my life in 9 months.
So I did this started working for myself right after my first daughter was born. And it was overwhelming and hectic and scary and lonely, but most of all empowering and exciting. And I felt like I just took off a veil or something and could do whatever I wanted. And it was my true voice that got to come out and act just for myself. And it was a very empowering, exciting time.
Terrifying.
It was stressful.
Yeah, you're just learning so many, you have to take on so many new skills that you're not used to taking on. So like anything from like, running around getting permits and understanding like all the legal stuff around it, and then hiring people and working with contractors, that's just getting the business built. And then from there, it's just, you're kind of navigating all the time, just trying to, balance it all out because you're just wearing so many hats. So it can be a little bit overwhelming, but really rewarding because you're learning new skills all the time.
I would say let go of your ego, because you can always learn new things, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
I totally agree with that one. People will offer you advice, entrepreneurs or business owners. They want you to ask them questions, and I think sometimes people just focus on what their successes were. Like they just want to hear about other people's successes, but then you also should ask about their failures, because that's probably where you could gain the most insight. And be open to it, and just be open to listening and learning from them, because when you're a little business and you're just starting out, cash flow is limited, all these things are really limited, so you don't want to make too many catastrophic mistakes at the beginning.
To be authentic, because I think you come from a really powerful point when you are authentic to who you are and what you want to do, and you're following your passions. I think that is the most powerful place that you can come from in terms of working for yourself.
I would say, so I think the most useful thing that I did was building. So even before we opened, I started our social media presence and telling people about it, and a sneak peek hole in the window of the store before we were open. And I think that really helped to build this following of people who really wanted to see it go really well and help and support, and then being able to ask them for support. I think having that support network around you is so key. And I think a lot of people think that maybe I've lived in Guelph all my life, which isn't true. I'd only been here for 2 years before that, but I was able to really just connect and build real relationships with people. And I think that was one of the most impactful things in that first year, and even now. But really then when you have such limited resources to help yourself get going.
Yes. Okay. I really want people to get this. Follow your gut. If something or someone or some situation doesn't feel right for whatever reason, you might not be able to articulate what those reasons are, but you just feel it, then just follow that. I know that I would say the mistakes that I've made in business so far have been because I've ignored some of my gut instincts. And I learned the hard way, but it was good.